Hello. Just in case you weren't in class on this day, just know that part of your daily grade, along with completing the examples that we don't do together in the notes, part of your daily grade is doing this activity that is in Canvas. So go to Canvas. If you look under lesson 9, you will see regression intro activity. You're going to click on that and complete the regression models activity. But today we're going to talk about modeling quadratic and square root equations. So we're going to talk about writing a quadratic function just by being given 3 points and then being able to write down a quadratic and square root equation by using technology. So we're going to be using Desmos today. All right, so a regression is a method that attempts to fit a graph to a bunch of points. So if you did the Desmos activity, you would see that once you make a table, it'll put a bunch of points on a graph, and then you're trying your best to fit either a straight line or a quadratic, a parabola, that U shape, or a square root graph, that sideways curve to the points. So you're trying to make it fit through all of the points as best as you can. We have these formulas to help make those shapes. So quadratic regression, this is for those U shapes. This is specifically standard form. So when we have A, B, and C, x squared, x, and then nothing with the C. This is standard form. And for the square root regression, we see it in vertex form. So A, H, and K. And in this case, we have the addition of B. So looking at our first example, we see a picture of a graph, a parabola, so this U-shaped graph. And I also see that they've labeled 3 points, -4, 0, 0, 0, and -2, 4. And they want to know what is the equation in standard form. So they want to know what the equation looks like. That's y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. They want to know what this equation looks like. Well, we are going to need to use a tool to help us figure this out. We are going to need to use Desmos. So we will go to Desmos. So here we are in Desmos. I am going to put these points that I saw on my graph into a table. So I will click the plus sign, I will click table, and I've got my table. Now it doesn't matter what order we put the points in because they are all going to get put on the graph. We will start with -4, 0, 0, 0, and then our last one was -2, -4. Okay. Now, since we already know what the shape looks like. We know it is a U shape. We are going to use the quadratic regression equation in standard form. So we're going to type y. In order to get that little 1, we're going to go to the keypad, click the ABC button, which you guys can't see too well. And then down here below the Z and the X, there is a button that will make a subscript. So it'll go down, right? This tilde, that squiggly line, it's the button right below B and N. You can't really see it that well. But it's there. Okay, it's there. Then we will do A, X, 1 squared. There are other keyboard shortcuts that you can do if you don't want to be using the keypad so much, but this is mainly for people who prefer to use this keypad that's over here. Okay, So now it gives me the U-shaped graph that is going through those all 3 points, which is pretty much what they gave us in the problem. What's extra though, once I typed in this equation, all of a sudden this stuff appeared, these regression parameters. All that is telling me, this is telling me what A is, this is telling me what B is, and this is telling me what C is, what they have to be to make this specific shape through these 3 points. So if I was to write out my equation in standard form, so with y ax squared plus bx plus c, if I was looking at answer choices, right, I would want the one where a is 1, b is 4, okay, b is 4, and then c is 0. C is 0. And if I look at my graph, I see that, okay, if I take this away, they overlap. The black and the red overlap, which is a good thing. That means that they mean the same thing. If I wanted to simplify this more, remember that 1, when it's multiplying by something, I normally don't show it when it is multiplying by a variable. Typically, it is invisible. So I can just do x squared plus 4x, and I don't have to add 0. When I'm adding nothing, I don't need to show that I'm adding nothing. So really, I could just type this out and I'm fine. And if I check, I see that they do overlap. So this means the same thing. So this is going to be my final answer. Okay, going back to the slideshow and the problems that we have, you guys are going to complete this problem on your own. Oh, and you will check with me and that'll be part of your daily grade. Here, we see that they're asking for the equation of the square root function in vertex form. So it even tells us this is a square root function. I can see it is not an up and down U shape. It is side to side. Interesting. It is a sideways curve. So I am still going to go through a similar process. I am going to go back to Desmos. I am back in Desmos. I want to make a table. I go to add item, table, and then I have to put down the points that we had. So we had 4, 6, 7, 7, and then 12, 8, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So since this was a square root function and they wanted us to write it in vertex form, I am going to use the vertex form that we had. So y, little subscript of 1. Oh, the tilde, I'm going to use a square root of bx with a subscript of 1 minus h. And then remember, you can always hit on your keyboard, you can hit the next key to get out from underneath this line and then do plus k. All right, so now, yay, it gives me the graph that goes through all those 3 points. And I need to write out the equation with the numbers replacing the letters that I see here. So I will have y equals, okay, a square root of b, oh my gosh, bx sub 1 minus h plus k. I did this wrong. I didn't need to do that. But here, really what I'm wanting is I'm wanting to replace a with this value right here. Ooh, I'm really wanting to replace b with this value right here. H is also getting replaced. And then k. is getting replaced as well. Oh, that's definitely not what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to just be a 5. All right, so there we go. They are overlapping each other. Hooray, they are the same thing. I want to see this full thing written out. There you go. So this is our answer. All right, and finally we have this example. So now this is asking something a little different. It is asking what is the equation of this quadratic in vertex form. Now vertex form looks a little bit different than standard form. So let's go to Desmos and take a look at this. So I already went ahead and typed in the points from the graph into the table. I already created the regression equation here. I typed this in and it gave us this purple parabola. So when I'm writing something in vertex form, I have y equals a x minus h squared plus k. This is vertex form for a quadratic. Anytime I hear vertex form, I should be thinking A, H, and K. Standard form is A, B, and C. So what is A? Well, they kind of already helped us figure out A here. My A is 1. And so the question is, what is H and K? That is my vertex. Okay, this is my vertex. So if I look at this graph, this purple graph, it gives me the vertex. You can just click on it. So if H and K is my vertex, if H is 1, well, guess what I'm going to want the H to be here? 1. If my K, the Y value of my vertex, is 8, then I'm going to want to add an 8 out here. All right, now look at that. Ignore the fact that this is a triangle. But if I look at the black and purple graph, I see that they overlap because they are exactly the same. So this is my equation for the graph in vertex form. Okay. Now that is pretty much everything for today. So we talked about what writing the quadratic function would look like given 3 points by using technology. Remember that you are doing this example on your own, and you are doing this example on your own, and you are checking with me. This is part of your daily grade for the lesson, along with this activity, the regression intro activity. Okay? Thank you.